I believe so,
That's
yeah.
good. That's good.
Why don't you just start out by talking about, obviously, President Biden has now basically, after this dinner, concluded his trip to Canada. What did this trip ultimately accomplish, and do you think it did so?
First of all, thanks very much for the opportunity to connect. It's good to see you again. Whenever we have a foreign leader who comes to Canada, it's important to signal our continued partnership and the ability to work together to advance shared priorities. If you were listening to the President's remarks today, I think you'll identify certain areas where we have concrete opportunities for partnership, particularly when it comes to growing our economy, to protecting the environment, and to advancing solutions to certain challenges relating to our shared security priorities. With this specific trip, there's certain concrete outcomes that we can point to. Obviously, the coalition we're going to jointly lead to combat the opioid crisis that was announced during President Biden's speech today. The progress that we've made on the Artemis mission to help send the first ever Canadian astronaut around the moon during our next phase of space exploration. But for my own part as a Minister of Immigration, of course, having successfully concluded the Safe Third Country Agreement and making the commitment on Canada's part to welcome 15,000 vulnerable people who are fleeing Central and South America or other countries nearby in the hemisphere, we've been able to really use this visit to advance certain concrete files that have been important priorities for both governments.
And just before you go, obviously, we've heard a lot about Roxham Road. What has this trip in particular done to, move forward and to put that behind us, so to speak?
Well, with the conclusion of the Safe Third Country Agreement, we'll be able to apply the same rules that existed previously at official points of entry in Canada to the entirety of the Canada-U.S. border. That means that there will still be an ability for family members of Canadians to apply who cross the Canada-U.S. border. There will still be exemptions that allow unaccompanied children to make asylum claims in Canada, but the people who had an opportunity to make an asylum claim either in Canada or the United States will be required to do so in the first country in which they land where they have the opportunity to make that asylum claim. That means that I expect the volumes that will cross at Roxham Road as of 12:01 tonight or tomorrow morning will not be anywhere near in the vicinity that they were previously. But at the same time, it's very important that we understand we've also created new regular pathways for people who are vulnerable fleeing the region. 15,000 people who will be able to come and participate in a resettlement process that will bring them safely to Canada. It's really important that we understand a lot of the people who don't choose to be a refugee leave their country of origin, but then face the extraordinary decision of migrating across extremely dangerous landscapes, putting themselves and their families at risk. And my hope is that we'll see fewer people be forced to make that choice, knowing that they have access to potentially new pathways for themselves and their families as a result of the deal, not just advancing the Safe Third Country Agreement, but Canada's commitment to welcome more vulnerable people at the same time.
Well, it is important. It is an important trip. Why? Because it showcased the importance of the relationship between Canada and U.S. And we're friends, allies, and partners. And I think President Biden did an amazing speech today about what unites us. But I think also we have strong deliverables. Maybe the renegotiation of the Safe Country Agreement, Safe Third Country Agreement, or again the investments in the Great Lakes. And everything we will be doing in terms of supporting good jobs being created here at home.
And what did this trip do for advancing those relations?
Well, we worked for weeks on this visit to make sure that they would be substantive. And so that's why we're confident that we were able to defend our national interests.